listening to Cleveland and Beyond with Andy Billman and Jared Watson, brought to you by Evergreen Podcasts.
And we are live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. He's Andy Billman. I'm Jared Watson. And this podcast is brought to you not only by Evergreen Podcasts, but of course, Waiting for Next Year. Check them out. Original Cleveland sports reporting and waitingfornextyear.com. The Browns. Holy shit, Andy. I am thrilled to announce they are now 4-1. Most of you already know. You wouldn't listen to this podcast if you didn't, or if you weren't a Browns fan, I'm guessing. But hey, here we are celebrating another, what do we call these again? Victory Mondays? I'm not used to celebrating them as often as we are. So I don't even remember what the fuck to call them. At any rate.
Are we allowed to do these 4 days in a row on a Monday? Okay. And one on Friday.
Seriously. For the first time since 1994. And Baker Mayfield had a wonderful first half. He looked great.
He did.
The second half, not so much. We'll get into that. Don't worry, because the defense picked it up for him. Surprisingly enough, there's a lot of times where I want to choke folks on the defensive side of the ball, but they held the Colts to 6 points. A lot of it has to do with any amount of pressure on Phillip Rivers will scare the living shit out of him, and he throws the ball wherever the hell he throws the ball. So anyways, how about Myles Garrett? Already some buzz about him being the NFL MVP race. What? And so as we head into this Steelers week and get our way through it, let's talk about your 76.8% ESPN FPI chance of making the playoffs. We're talking playoffs. Cleveland Browns.
We're on our way. We are on our way.
Holy shit, Andy.
Buckle up. What a great team victory. I'll make this short and sweet. This was a complete team victory. You saw the Baker Mayfield, as my partner alluded to in the first half, who played a wonderful first half. Second half, he stunk. Myles Garrett took over this game. He is on his way to becoming the defensive MVP and possibly the MVP of the league. The plays he's making right now on the field is really Lawrence Taylor, Derek Thomas, Reggie White, Bruce Smith, insert athlete here. He is going on that level. He is that elite right now. He is disrupting, and I don't blame Phillip Rivers for being scared. He is playing such an elite level right now. And then you get this ball control offense that does a great job of controlling. They controlled the tempo of this game. Even when the Colts had opportunities to score, the Browns controlled the tempo from the tip. Even when they were down early, they controlled the clock. Yeah. You could feel that game. The Browns had total control, it seems like, in parts. And then to lead off, they won't get into this game. This was not a running game job. It was the last couple games, but when you needed it most, Dearness Johnson gets a big hit, big run, puts the game away, and away we go. And Jared, it's getting exciting. When you get team wins where you see your quarterback play well parts, your best defensive player control the whole game, how your whole analytics staff with Stefanski is doing a wonderful job, controls this team, controls the clock, really has control of this game. Even I felt for like the whole game, it's like, God, we have control of this game, even though it is very much in the air. And what's all exciting about all this, they beat a very good team. They beat a team that I thought played really well, and the Browns just played better. Let me repeat that. They played really well. I thought they played a great game. Not great. They played a good game, and the Browns just played better. Andy, it makes you feel good.
You're talking about going up against one of the best defenses in the league. Now, Baker did take some heat and get sacked and is hurting from that today and probably will be through the week.
Literally,
he'll be taking his Motrin. But the bottom line is he was making passes that this was the first half of a game that we were waiting on from Baker, right? We were, and it was the Browns taking what the Colts were giving them. They didn't move away from the run. They just were having more success with the pass. Well, it became concerning for a little bit because they were about 65% pass heavy for a while, and it catches up with them around the third quarter. And this is something that I want to mention. Baker's stat line for his passer rating, he goes from his QB rating, he goes pretty decent, about 70s in the first quarter. These are averages for the season so far. Into the 90s for the second quarter, which is great. That's what you want. You want to finish out that first half killing it.
Yep.
But then his numbers decline significantly in the third quarter, and then they fall all the way to the basement in the fourth quarter. So I'm curious if there has something to do with taking your foot off the pedal, or something with play calling, or something with just recognizing Stefanski is okay with some of those things happening, because they are still finding ways to control the clock and control the ball through those third and fourth quarters. I don't know what it is, Andy, but I don't like seeing teams creep back in, and that is what the Colts were able to do. We didn't put our foot on their necks and keep it down the entire time. So it's just kind of a bummer that's what we're still worried about. At the same time, man, what a good bummer to have 4-1. So I'm not going to sit here and bitch too much, but at the same time, we saw some steps forward from Baker. We saw some steps back from Baker. The second interception, I don't think we can hold on him because he had the ball knocked as he was throwing it. You just want to see a little bit more consistency in the second half of these football games. And thank God the defense is bringing it.
Yeah, so, okay, let's talk about Mayfield first, then we'll get to the other part, stepping on the neck. So Mayfield, this has been consistent now through the Bengals game. The Ravens game was a wash for everything. But the Bengals game, good first half, lousy second half. The Cowboy game, it was more consistent at times. The Redskin game, again, basically the same, for being truthful. Good first half, not a great second half. So he's going to have to clean that up, and that is becoming a pattern. So it's something we have to note here. The only thing I'll say again, though, is he does not have to win the games. So if he plays well in the first or second and third quarter, you can allow your running game to take over a game. It's actually a formula that will win you games. So does he need to play better in the fourth quarter? Oh, of course. Does he need to play better in the third quarter? Yeah, he does. I mean, a touch better. But is that something that's going to really cost the Browns big in the regular season? No. Now in a big playoff game, it might. That's where Baker Mayfield is going to have to play better and by the way, it might be a big regular season spot. But do I think it's something that is like eye-raising right now? Yeah, it's something you want to bring attention to, but it's not jumping off the cliff. Now, the stepping on your neck, because I've heard this a lot today, I don't agree with it. I thought the Browns played a good team. Okay. And I thought the Colts just did a nice job of moving the ball and getting the ball in the spots and making plays. The only thing I didn't like about this game is that fucking special teams giving up that goddamn kickoff return for a touchdown.
That was unacceptable.
That play was awful. We keep hearing things about Prefer. Boy, I'm going to go down this road a little bit. We hear we have these wonderful special teams coordinators come in. They do wonderful things, and it's the only thing on this team that has not been solved yet. In special teams, and I want to also throw in there Peoples-Jones, and we'll get to him in a second. He makes me nervous. This kickoff, Peoples-Jones makes me nervous. He does not look crisp his first two games in that slot.
Watching the ball hit the turf and bounce, and then he grabs it, makes me a little nervous. I didn't know what he is not being as decisive back there as he needs to be on punt return.
He needs to play much better. But the special teams, that is a moment you cannot allow a touchdown there. You can never allow, but not there. You got the game in hand. They just give up a pick six. It felt like the game was almost over. Yeah. Let me repeat, the game was almost over. And you let him come right back in the game. And then this one was on Mayfield. He threw a bad pick. Okay. All that to be said, I felt like the Browns did what they had to do to win this game. I felt like they did step on the neck. The Colts are just a good team. And I just have started to learn in sports, you got to take that in for what it is, and you got to accept you're going to get some pushback. Because to me, Jared, I never felt like the game was in doubt. I never felt like the Browns were going to lose.
You're right. And you know what? I will say this. I watch it with my brother, and he drives me up a wall because he was a little bit panicked. And I, strangely enough, and I think a lot of it has to do with what I've just been witnessing over the past 3 games prior. 3 games prior that 3 games prior. Yes, 3 games prior that the Browns are actually good, and that they are good at basically holding teams at a stiff arm's length away after they've taken the lead. You know, they can regain a lead and then they can hold off. And that is what they've been doing. And the big thing here, Andy, that I have been seeing is that it is not one guy doing it every week.
That's a complete
the most consistent guy that has made impact on this team, in my opinion, has been Jarvis Landry over time, outside of Nick Chubb in the run game. And his consistency on the offensive side of the ball has been great. And when he fell off this past Sunday with those 2 drop passes in the second half, which Again,
critical.
It was brutal to see. Brutal.
And that hurts.
Now you're not gonna see it again. But my point is, who picked him up? Well, Harrison picked him up with a pick, with the picks.
Yep.
Then Redwine came in because Harrison had a concussion, and Redwine had himself an interception. So and you've got guys that are different players every week that are doing it, whether it be Myles Garrett, whether it be someone in the secondary, which is surprising but absolutely needed with the way that they give up yards and early points to teams.
It's amazing.
They're spreading around that somebody's making an impact play. Dearness Johnson locked that sucker down this week. Period.
He did. I'll tell you the player to me that is obvious, but it has to be mentioned. Myles Garrett is the best player in this team right now. And by the way, even when Chubb comes back, I think your best player in this team is Myles Garrett. His presence on that game was felt throughout the game. Mm-hmm. He won the game. I'm telling you, this game, if you had said who won this game, Myles Garrett. Myles Garrett changed the whole complexion of that game. He forced Rivers into rushing. He forced Rivers in that terrible safety. Myles Garrett is playing at such an elite level.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, in a game like this, and this is Stefanski's quote, we knew that it was going to be a physical game. I think that was a great team win. That was all about the team. It was not pretty at times. It was not perfect, but it was a great team win. And you just alluded to it. And this is my point about, like, you just mentioned all those guys. I think Myles Garrett, honestly, is the guy who's standing up tall. Even when Chubb comes back, I'd be like, Myles Garrett's the one guy you cannot lose on this team right now.
Yeah.
You're really getting there. Now, a couple other players I want to mention on defense. I thought Malcolm Smith had a wonderful second half and had a wonderful game. You saw Malcolm Smith flying around the ball. I thought he had such a good game. It was nice to see someone like that playing well. And again, he's not playing great, but Vernon took another step forward. I thought Vernon, again, played better. It's not great. It's not perfect, but he played better. You saw his presence on the field. Now, to the other side of this, and let's just say it because we're going to have to until this guy turns around. I think the Sandejo, defending Sandejo by Joe Woods stuff, it's enough. But Sandejo stinks. He gets picked on way too much. It's very, very obvious. It's getting to the point where it's an eyesore. You just hope the guy can hold on at this point. And, it's a shame. I mean, you hope Harrison's okay. He's in concussion protocol now. But that's a big miss. That's a big hit, especially with Greedy Williams going. I know they're secondary and quarterback, but still.
And we can announce this now too. That Greedy Williams is officially on the IR. They finally moved him today, I believe. So don't expect anything out of Greedy Williams for a while. It's
at
a
least
bummer,
3 weeks.
But hey, I mean, it is what it is, and the Browns are making do with what they have, and that is something that, again, when you see Redwine come in and get an interception, that is the purest of definitions of the next man up.
Yeah, Harrison too. Harrison, big pick six. Yeah. I mean, that was such a big play. And I'll tell you the other thing too. You mentioned it. The one fairness to Mayfield, I thought Landry's drops were big. It threw off the rhythm of Mayfield. Yeah. I know he's not going to do that again. I know it's a one-time thing. I just want to mention it once. The Landry drops were big. We love Landry. He's good. Let's just keep that out there. Now, to the bigger thing in this game too that I really noticed. When the Browns, they are finding new ways to win. They're doing new things to gut things out. And the greatest thing is on this team that you can see that like Jared just alluded to it, Redwine. You saw Hooper making big plays. You could point to many different guys in this team. And you know what? The best example of that is Hollywood Higgins, who hasn't even sniffed the field.
Yeah, Dan Monis right on cue, chiming in on Facebook. Hollywood Higgins, big TD and big block for Dearness Johnson. Yeah, absolutely, Dan. You're reading Andy's mind right now.
Yeah, I mean, to see Hollywood Higgins make not just an appearance, but an impact. And hey, it was one catch, and Njoku made one big fucking catch in this game too. So it's like, everybody makes contributions. It's a great thing to see. I agree. Tony Grossi said this, and I agree with this. The wins like this can hold a lot more in the long run because you're learning how to win. You're grinding out wins. Not all wins are supposed to be easy and pretty. And again, I looked at the Colts. I'm like, the Colts are a good team. And I'm telling you right now, if our terrible special teams did not give up that touchdown, I think that game would have been easily won, actually. Because I don't think Rivers is going anywhere in this game.
It was surprising. I think I was expecting more out of Rivers. I think I was expecting a more difficult game. I was surprised at a lot of the mental errors that Rivers was making. He actually looked a lot more panicked in the pocket than Baker did at all on Sunday, which is another thing that I saw Baker doing. And that was a little bit more stepping up in the pocket. He still had problems with overthrowing players, which is difficult when, you want Baker to step up in the pocket, but you also realize that when he steps up in the pocket, he's making his throwing angle a little bit more difficult to get past those linemen because he's not as tall as some other quarterbacks. So stepping up in the pocket is kind of a double-edged sword possibly for Baker. Well, but the point is, when he's stepping up in the pocket, he's poised, he's finding his receivers, he knows he's made some mistakes, but he's working on that stuff, and I think he's figuring it out week by week, slowly but surely. And that first half, for them to be moving the ball like that and scoring as quickly as they were, and some big chunk plays, passing, he was throwing some lasers, throwing darts. Andy, I think that we're on the right path with Baker. We still don't have the answer of whether he is the going to be the franchise quarterback of the future. But what I can say is he's not taking any steps back in that realm. He is making small incremental steps forward at being the guy for the long haul. 4-1, Andy. Who expected 4-1 right now? Who?
Well. Here's my point.
2-2 would have been nice right now.
Well, here's my point with Mayfield. He's recognizing his play on the field. And I think he's trying to come around to that. So that's why I think this needs more time. When you get quotes like this after the game, I missed completions out there, Mayfield said. Lots of guys were open. I've got to be better. Good thing is we don't have to learn from a loss. 2 turnovers today, not good enough. I got to be honest, when you hear stuff like that, it makes you happy. I don't know why. I just think Jared, in this case situation, I agree with you. Here's my tale. He's playing better. I saw that first half was wonderful. Mm-hmm. People shouldn't shit on that first half. That first half, he could have stood on his head. He was that good. The only thing is, he's got to play better in the second half. The numbers in the ESPN QBR numbers, you went through and say that. The biggest thing here is give this time because you can, and you're winning games. And I got to be upfront. Anytime, there's another thing about this team. How many big third down completions, Jared, did we get in this game? How many times was third down? And it's like they were 10 out of 17. 10 out of 17. This team makes big plays and big downs. I have never, in all my years being a Browns fan, third down always used to make me nervous. Not this team right now. Third down is like, bring it on. They do such a nice job of that.
Those are the things that are making me feel good. The things that I don't worry about and that I expect every game. A minute ago, I said I'd be happy at 2-2. I wasn't doing my math correctly. I'd have been happy at 3-2 or at 2-3 at this point, to be honest. At any rate, things that I don't. These are the things that are in my don't have to worry about box right now. Don't have to worry about the Browns losing the turnover battle in each game. I don't feel like I have to worry about that right now. Now, they came out even this week, but again, I'm talking about losing it. I don't feel that that's going to be an issue. Number 2 is Cody Parkey. I'm not worried about him. It's beautiful to not. I'm just thinking of things that I would normally stress about that I don't stress about. I don't stress about kicking the ball anymore. I don't.
No.
So that's nice. I don't stress about
problem's gone.
I don't stress about third downs. I don't stress about third downs anymore.
How about penalties, Jared? Do we stress about penalties?
I don't stress about penalties. No.
How about penalties?
No, I think Denzel Ward had the worst penalty of the day yesterday.
2 penalties, 10 yards. And by the way, the Colts late in this game had an offside. We're making penalties. I'm like, oh, how nice is this that this is not our fucking problem?
And I also don't worry that at some point in the game, when someone needs to step up, someone is going to. It happened over and over again throughout this 4-game winning streak that guys at the right time, when you're like, oh boy, what are they going to do to get out of this? Boom, something happens. It's like fucking clockwork with these guys right now.
It's really nasty.
They are.
It's really good.
Andy, oh boy. I can't believe we're sitting here right now like this. I really cannot believe that I'm sitting here right now after saying I would have been happy at 3-5 walking out of this first half of the season, and we are sitting here at 4-1. Now, that does not mean that we cannot still end up at 4-4 after the next 3 games. These are not cakewalk games, right? We know as Browns fans that this week, Steelers week is a big one. This is the biggest Steelers week that the Browns have had since that playoff run in what year was that? You do the math. You know,
Right.
the was that
07.
01, 02? Well, I'm not even thinking 07. I was thinking.
But how about this? How about this? Look, here's the thing. I'm actually more positive in my partner here. I think the Browns are not going to lose 3 in a row.
Oh,
And I'm
no,
not
but
saying
that's
that.
what I'm saying. I don't. All I'm saying is one game at a time.
Oh,
That's
yeah. But I'm ready to do this. I'm ready for the Steelers. Now,
Yeah?
look, this is going to be a hard. Oh, look, let's have some fun.
Yeah.
Who have they played so far? Those tough Broncos? Those nasty, nasty Giants? What's their win total? 0?
Filthy Eagles.
Eagles, they only got 1 win. They tied the Bengals. So, I mean, look, these are bad teams. Now, look, I like to rib it because it's fun. But let's be fair and honest here. Right now, when you go into this week, in a Steelers week, you don't think you're going to get killed. You don't think it's going to be embarrassment. And we don't have our best offensive player, Nick Chubb. We're not going to have a complete offensive line. Wyatt Taylor's going to be out. But Chris Hubbard is coming in there ready to play. Here's a big thing. Stefanski gets a lot of credit. We're going to get to him. Andrew Berry has built this roster.
Yeah.
He has done a nice job of putting successful things in place.
Yeah.
And for how much you know what, Jedrick Wills, I haven't said his name, which is a good thing. He's playing really well. And by the way, I saw Phillips, the kid out of LSU. He was running around making plays. And again, Malcolm Smith's second half play was outstanding. You could feel Malcolm Smith's presence in that game. He needs to be playing more. He did such a nice job in that second half of that game. And when this defense that couldn't stop a fucking peewee team at times in this game, come up in the second half and make stop at and just holding them to field goals. That's the biggest difference in this game. The Colts kicked field goals.
Oh,
the Browns
yeah.
scored touchdowns. And that was a big, and again, that safety was nasty.
The safety was,
It was
perfect timing. The safety was so needed.
Yeah.
That defense. And you know what else, too? The defense had a decent amount of breaks in the second half. They weren't on the field for very long for a lot of that second half. And I was glad to see it. I did notice, that at about the 4 or 5 minute mark, it might have been the Colts' last possession, that Myles Garrett wasn't even on the field. They didn't even have Myles on the field. And I'm guessing, was that to allow him to get his breather if they needed him back, if there was going to be another possession.
And by the way,
and worry
as
about
soon as
it
the
then.
Colts got sniffing the red zone, guess what he saw? It's like, let's go. Like, I remember I kept saying to Cameron, my son, I'm like, hey, we need to get 95 back in this game.
Yeah.
Like, it's been enough. He needs to come out there. Now, the Deaners Johnson was a big run. We talked about that enough. Hollywood Higgins was wonderful, made a great block, as Dan Monas pointed out. I was going to mention that too. Chris Hubbard, by the way, made a big block in that play.
Odell made a nice block at one point, too.
Oh, look, this is a complete team right now. This team is rocking and rolling fun. Now, it's time to see. We'll get more of this on Friday. It's time, or is it going to be Thursday because of Boston? He decided, it's going to be Thursday or Friday this week for Beyond.
Probably Thursday.
You're
asking me to think. Don't ask me to think right now. I can't think.
I know.
I'm struggling to talk about the Browns right now.
And by the way,
I mean, it's not as bad as your day, and I understand that.
Yeah. By the way,
I'm mentally drained at this point.
Yeah,
though already on fucking Monday, I'm drained.
We were supposed to be doing a show last night, but I had a little bit of case of the foods, so I was really tuckered out. Only I had was grapes and nectarines, and I was fucking shot. But anyways, I'm back, better than ever. But
you need to wash your grapes and nectarines. Maybe that's the issue.
I did wash them.
Boy.
But now look, okay, now we're losing viewers. I see we're down to 4. Okay, here we go. Now here's the biggest thing. Stefanski is getting a lot of credit today, which he deserves.
Yeah.
Here's something that really came across to me today. It's according to ESPN's efficiency rankings. Okay, I think Jake Trotter tweeted this out. Jake does a great job of tweeting this stuff out. So if you want fun stats from ESPN, Jake Trotter does a great job with this. According to ESPN's efficiency stats, Browns are the 5th best team in the NFL right now. They're number 4 on offense, which doesn't surprise me. This one did. They're 9th in defense. 9th in defense.
Wow.
That says a lot.
Wow.
I was not expecting that number on defense.
Wow.
So the Browns, even though they give up a lot of yards, and they do, but you can tell in this game, this is where this game, if the defense didn't do what they do, the Browns were going to lose. Them making stops, holding the Colts to field goals, which was big in this game.
Yeah. The defense scored 9 points.
They did a great job in this game. Great job.
Andy, so here we are, 4-1. solid after this week with the Colts.
Yep, we're gonna do a fun schedule game here in a second. So get your thought.
Well, I lost it, so go ahead. Because
Okay, I apologize. That's my fault. But look,
no. Go ahead.
Let's do a schedule game. Here we go.
You want to do it now?
Yes.
You do it now?
It's time to predict.
Let's do it now.
Now we can change our picks. Someone on the show's nailing the Browns every week. I won't say who, but I believe he's a guy in the glasses who took a bunch of fucking Pepto-Bismol. And then, so my other partner though, he'll catch up. He might.
There's a method to my madness, Andy. There's a method to my madness.
Okay, we can change our opinion, but Steelers game right now. Browns Steelers, who's gonna win?
Steelers.
All right, Browns go to 4-2. I don't think they're gonna beat the Steelers either, but maybe I'll change. Bengals game. I think they're gonna win that.
Yeah,
5-2.
Yep.
5-2. All right. Raiders. Ugh.
That's a tough one, and I don't think they win it.
I say 6-2. Texans yawn 6. I say 7-2. 6-3.
Against who?
I think the Texans.
Oh boy, that's no, they beat that's coin flip, man. That's a tough one. Is that game at home?
Yes.
I'm not looking at the schedule.
Yes.
I'll call it.
Texans have lost their coach. They lost their GM. They're terrible.
I'm gonna call. Yeah, you're right. I forgot that JJ Watt lost his shit and is a big reason why I got fired.
O'Brien. Yeah. So 7-2, 8-2. They're gonna beat the Eagles. The Eagles aren't good.
Yep.
So 7-3, 8-2. Jacksonville, our arch nemesis. They even beat them. I'm going 9-2 on this.
Yeah, they're beating Jacksonville. 8-3,
9-2. This is fun. At Tennessee, Titans.
No.
Yeah, I think it's my loss too. 9-3, 8-4.
Mm-hmm.
And now down the stretch. Ravens at home. Oh, on Monday night. Monday night against the Ravens. What a fun game for everyone, including this little podcast. They win that game. They're winning that game.
No, I'm saying a loss.
10-3, 8-5. All right. The New Jersey swing. Jets, Giants. They lose any of those games?
No, they win both of them. I win both of those.
It's amazing. I thought at one point of the year they might lose one of those games. And then Steelers at home.
They might. No, they beat the Steelers at home. They beat the Steelers at home. I'm 11-5.
And I'm going 13-3.
That sounds so fucking nuts. What are we doing, Andy? What are we doing?
Bucket. No, they're going to be. Look, they're going all the way. Look, I'm playing my Super Bowl plans now.
Hey, after this week, watching Las Vegas do what they did against the Chiefs, I'd say anything is possible.
That was a shock. Well, that's a good right. See, that's the thing the Browns need to learn. And that's something okay, now let's go. That's a good tee up. The Raiders and the Chiefs are a nasty rivalry.
Yeah.
And the Gruden went into that game saying, I'm tired of losing to Kansas City.
Yeah.
I'm done losing to Kansas City. We're going to start this right now today. And you know what? You could feel that throughout the whole game. And the Raiders came back and won that game. That's the attitude the Browns need to have. We're tired of losing to Pittsburgh. We're tired of this crap. Let's get our stuff together. Let's win this game. John Gruden type of edge. And by the way, I think this team already has it. But that's what you need in this game. The Browns have never had that edge. The Browns have always had this, like, we're going to play tough. We respect the Steelers. No, we want to beat the Steelers in Pittsburgh. Time to win that game. Win that game. Tired of losing in Pittsburgh.
I mean, this is why when I say there's a method to my madness here, here's my point. Prove me wrong. That's all I want. Prove me wrong. Prove to me that you can beat the Steelers, because I can't pick you until you prove it, because you haven't done it. You haven't done it. So prove me wrong.
Tough game.
Prove me wrong. I didn't expect them to beat the Colts because I could not see them at 4-1. I needed to be proved wrong. When have I seen them at 4-1? We said it was 1994. Why would I ever expect them to be 4-1? You haven't done it in so long. And I have picked them to win almost every week for the last 20 years. So I'm at the point where prove me wrong. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me 9,872 times. Why am I a Browns fan? So this is why I say, Andy, as good as they are, I have to remain realistic. Not beat down Browns fan, but just realistic.
I hear you.
They're
am ready
great
to
at 4-1. They are going to lose more games this season. They will win more games than they lose this season. That's where I'm at. Those are the things that I feel like I know well enough. And I also would say that I'm still not at the point where I will say that they are going to make the playoffs, but I am going to say we're very close. Beating Pittsburgh this week, that could be what puts me over the top. And I don't think I'm alone in that feeling. That doesn't mean that I'm being a naysayer. That doesn't mean that I'm being a doubter. That doesn't mean all it means is analytics. You haven't done it. You haven't proved me wrong.
I am ready to face plant.
Prove me wrong.
Hard on the concrete. I got to be honest. I am really into this. I know what this is. And the reason why is I'm seeing complete team effort. You have a leader like Miles. And again, I'm going to repeat this all year. Late in the game, if you're up, hand that fucking ball off and let that team run and run and run and run. Just let them run.
Did you feel like that we let what is your opinion on why we kind of walked away from the running game this week? Was it the loss of Nick Chubb? Are we still worried about Hunt's groin? He looked like he was having issues finding spots.
Had some cramps.
Running into the pack a lot early. He did have some cramps. Had to get stretched out on the sideline. I mean, what are we? Is he just not 100%?
I actually
is that
thought
what
this
it
game
is?
is perfectly called because if you watch the running game throughout this game, look, Nick Chubb being out does affect this team, and I do want to bring this up. This is my one negative Nelly. Chubb being back's big. I'm just telling you, but
that's and Chubb being out against Pittsburgh is going to hurt. But where this is one of those games where I think Myles Garrett on the other side of the ball needs to have one of the biggest games of his career.
Has there ever been a play with Myles Garrett that was very memorable? Oh, right.
What happened? No, I don't even want to say it. What happens?
Fuck the Steelers. Fucking beat them to the ground and choke them out. It's enough of those fucking towels. Stupid fucking towels. Stupid.
Oi!
Don't need your towel. Never have a yellow towel. Never. Never!
No.
I hate the Steelers. I hate that Ben. I don't like anything about that team.
I know.
And you know what really kills me?
I know.
I'm a huge Irish fan. And Claypool had 4 touchdowns against the Eagles last week. 4.
Fuck the Steelers. Don't care. Fuck the Steelers.
Kills me. All that to be...
We need Chubb back. It's going to hurt. I hope that they can, and we'll get into this when we do our Steelers preview game.
Here's a couple things out of what Jared's alluding to with the running game. I thought in this game it made perfect sense because if you watch the running game and you saw what we saw, it's like you can't go 60-40. If you have Chubb and Hunt, you can go 60-40. It's just harder with Dearness Johnson and with Hunt. It's just harder. So you're going to have to go. And by the way, the Browns were almost 50-50. It was a pretty much 50-50 split.
Yeah, they were. Well, they made because they start. Defense gets tired as the game goes on. They were able to get a lot more yards rushing. I need to look at the stats. At least it felt like they were getting some better carries and some better runs in that second half than they were in the first half. Late in the game in the fourth quarter, the running game was getting into its groove, as it always does in this team. Yeah. The other thing too that I just want to mention, and again, we love them. Those Landry drops were big. It didn't affect the game, but Baker couldn't. Both those should have been caught. And there was an OBJ one, too, that was not exactly handled well. And again, it's okay. We love those guys. They played well. But those plays affected Baker's rhythm. You could tell. It just did. And then the pass rush for the Colts, which it was not compared to what the Browns were doing with Garrett, but the Colts pass rush was getting to Baker in the second half. And hit him hard. Absolutely. And I'm wondering how affected his throwing was in the second half. From the play. Hollywood Higgins, has he earned himself into this wide receiver rotation for good now?
You know my feelings. So for people who don't, I don't understand Kadrell Hodge. Don't get it. I mean, if he plays well in special teams, good. He's not a wide receiver. I'm sorry. And again, I hope I'm wrong. Peoples-Jones makes me nervous catching balls. He has got to look crisper. I am been surprised. He looked very good when it came to practice scrimmages against self-team. But what I've seen in 2 games in the NFL, Peoples-Jones looks a little nerve-wracking. The special teams for the Browns, outside of Parkey, I feel good about. Don't feel great, but I feel good. The special teams for Cleveland, outside of Gilliam, the Scottish Hammers are great. This is still not there. Obviously, the touchdown on the kickoff, and again, the punt returns and kickoff returns of Peoples-Jones is just nerve-wracking, not crisp. I hope that doesn't play a part in this year, but so far, I'm holding my breath now on kicks. I just want Peoples-Jones to catch it and get the fuck down.
Again, Greedy Williams going to be out for at least the next 3 weeks and definitely on the IR. Wyatt Teller, who has been outstanding for this team thus far in the season, is a real loss. And he's week to week right now, day to day, with the calf injury that he suffered on Sunday. Oh, I'm sorry. He's more week to week. Yeah, it
sounds like he's not going to be playing. But Hubbard played great.
And
Hubbard played great.
No, Chris Hubbard's fine. And Ronnie Harrison is in concussion protocol. So I don't know. When do we see him back then?
I don't think you're going to see Harrison this week. I don't think you're right.
I
mean, the Browns have had the turnstile of injuries. It's not bad as it was in the preseason, but they're. Look, every team goes through them. The Wyatt Taylor is a great player for the Browns. The great guard, but Hubbard is such a good backup. I just don't think it's a big misstep here. If he missed weeks of the season, I'd be concerned. But it's only. I don't want to make it light, but 2 or 3 games with Hubbard, you'll be okay. I'm telling you, you're going to be okay.
Yeah,
you're going to be okay.
Yeah, and the fact that the Browns are surviving without Nick Chubb right now and still getting W's, that's big. Winning 2 games without Nick Chubb is more evidence that this team is well coached and it is a team effort and that they are doing their improvements week to week as a team. I can't stop. I am so amazed at where they are right now.
It's fun.
I am. I know that we talk about the things that we're worried about, but at the same time, it's part of the show. We got to
worry about something.
Those things. There's always areas to improve. But when you wrap it all up into a ball, holy shit, 4-1 Andy, here we are, ready to go and ready to prep for Pittsburgh after they get their rest and start getting prepped for Pittsburgh and hopefully come away with a win. Andy, what's your score?
We're going to hold.
We're holding off on that. See, again, I'm getting so anxious for that game now. You got me all built up for it.
Here's some other things, though. By the way, we did not do this, but next week we are. Let's see. Let's do my math. I think it's 12 days. We are 12 days away from the Purdue Boilermakers, Michigan State Spartans, Gophers, and a little team called the Buckeyes. Teeing it up.
Yeah.
2 weeks away. It's exciting. The SEC this week, along with all the other college football, was wonderful. I'm sure my partner did not watch a second of it. I did. Clemson, by the way, even if it was a normal season, Clemson reminds you of LSU. Clemson right now reminds you of, you better really have your shit together against them to keep it competitive. Miami's not a bad team. This is not one of those Miami's falsehoods and they aren't as good. I thought they played well and they still weren't competitive.
Right.
Clemson's just a machine. Are you excited about Georgia-Bama? 2 versus 3 this week in Tuscaloosa. Night game. That's a fun game. It's a fun game. Yeah,
admittedly, it's been hard for me to even get into or watch any of this thus far. Partly because of just my busy schedule. And partly because it really isn't fun for me.
Jared, I don't. But I really want to get. Jared knows this. I love college football.
I'm just telling on myself. Is all. I'm just telling on myself.
And even for me, I'm a huge Domer fan, huge Notre Dame fan. By the way, a little sloppy against Florida State. It's 2 weeks from. They had a COVID breakout, so I don't want to be too hard on a team that had 2 weeks of dealing with COVID, but a little sloppy. But they did their thing. This year, though, without Purdue, without Ohio State, even stuff like no SC, no Oregon, it's not a complete season. Even seeing those scores of like how Toledo did, I went to Toledo, like you can't check any of that stuff. So it's been a weird season. All that to be said, these games are getting fun and good. They had their first COVID cancellation day in the SEC. Vanderbilt, Missouri is a no-go. They had to push that back. But I'm interested. But I'm interested to see, and I want to see these Big Ten teams start playing. I'm missing it, and I want to preview it. We will on the show a little bit. I want to get into it. This is the Ohio State. It has been laying in the weeds. Has 8 games of fun, and they should be in the playoff.
They should end up 8-0, and they should
really,
end up in the playoffs.
Should.
Period. There's zero reason for them to lose any of that schedule, and coming in there fresh into the playoffs. Boy, that might be the only the thing that the extra thing they need if they're going to be facing Clemson at some point
as for my Irish, my last thought is this: they play some games coming up. They're all winnable. They're all going to win them all, and then they play the big game against Clemson in South Bend. Here's to any Irish fans out there listening. The Irish have to play much better. I think there is not a better tee up than they getting 4 weeks to get themselves ready for Clemson. They're going to need it. Do I think they're going to beat Clemson? I really don't know. But I know the Notre Dame mystique. I know the history of this game. And I just hope Notre Dame gets these 4 weeks to get themselves prepared, because there are bits and parts of Notre Dame that can go on the field. And I just want to see, I guess what I'm just saying, I want to see Notre Dame really compete hard with Clemson. And after what I saw on Saturday night, it's like, man, Notre Dame has ways to go to get to that level. They are just not there. It's back to that semifinal game again where they got blown out, and I made that stupid, silly prediction on here.
I don't.
And I just hope I'm wrong. But I hope they get these 4 weeks and use them to those advantage. Fun. Okay, a couple other more on college football. Bama and Georgia are clearly the second and third best team in the country, and that's a wonderful game. From all the other teams I've seen so far, Jared, it's a big drop. I mean, this is, again, the most jaded season ever. But, again, you got Clemson, Georgia, Bama, and then you got everybody else. And that's what I see right now. So Georgia-Bama is a big-time, primetime game. Huge. CBS, 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
Danielson and Johnny. Be there. Got to be there.
2 weeks. 2 weeks.
Nebraska,
Big Ten. 2 weeks. Big Ten.
Nebraska
2 weeks.
And the Bucks. A little bit of tradition in that game. Are they going to bring Tommy Frazier off the bench for Nebraska? Maybe a little bit of Jason Peters.
Listen, Ohio State's going to come out and make a statement in the first game of the season. I can promise you that right now.
I think Nebraska should just be enjoying playing football again in that game.
I think that is exactly
Scott
the
Frost
right mentality
next year
for Nebraska.
Sure.
And let's also not forget that last game of the season when they're coming in 7-0 and they got to play that stupid team up north. Don't forget what Coach Day told him. I'm going to hang 100 on you. Watch your mouths. You think he's kidding? I don't. I don't. I take that man more seriously with those words than I would have even their past few coaches.
Here's how bad it is for Michigan. I don't even think it's a competitive game right now. I don't think it's even a question who's going to win that game.
No. Hey, LeBron James, 4 rings now, 3 different teams, 4 finals MVPs. Holy shit,
cakewalk,
Andy.
Game 6. Cakewalk.
Unbelievable that this is where LeBron is right now and the shape that he is in. This is a man who talks about spending like $1.5 million a year on his body, keeping himself in shape. He is having the longest prime of anyone's career from, I think that, I don't remember who said it from ESPN, but I think those were the words. And it's just amazing that it happened again. Speaking of someone who
only spends $100 a year on his body, it really has worked out well for Mr. J.
If you count the liquor I buy each year, how much money do I spend defiling my body every year?
After I vomit a few times, anything is possible. Yeah. But look, when it comes to LBJ, he's the man. Not surprising. Happy for him. Don't care about the Lakers. Happy for him. Will be interesting to see if Davis comes back.
Yeah.
Here's the bigger story to me. I can't believe I'm saying this, but it is true. It should be about the championship, but there's a bigger second line story. The NBA ratings were terrible. I mean, really, really bad. And I'm one who watches all sports. Even I had a hard time getting in the NBA finals, I'm being honest. It was a weird.
Well, it was a lack. I mean, it was just hard to get hype for it, I guess.
Basketball on the floor was wonderful.
I don't know how to explain it.
Basketball in the bubble was one. It's the weirdest thing. I enjoyed the NBA playoffs. I enjoyed it. I watched a lot of it. As soon as the Clippers got exited, I was checked out because I kind of knew. I just kind of knew.
Well, yeah, and I'm guessing folks knew how it was going to end at that point too. Once you knew it was Lakers Heat, you knew there was what was your reason for tuning in, and I'm sure that there are some folks out there who are sitting and saying, "Well, it probably had something to do with politics." I'm telling you right now, it probably didn't have that much to do with the politics. There's a lot of other reasons. Correlation does not equal causation, my friends. I think the NBA going forward, the ratings will be okay. I really just think it had to do with the teams that were playing and
no underdog in the finals.
Itself.
The Heat are not an underdog. That's not a likable team. I know Miami people might hate to hear that, but it's true. They're just not a likable team, and they made it for a hard series to watch. Yeah.
Well, there weren't storylines in there. That the only storyline in there was a storyline that we've already heard a bunch of times. Granted, it was you could talk about how long it's been since LA's won. You can talk about winning it for Kobe.
Even that storyline didn't feel as big at the end. Kind of got washed away. Like I thought the other storyline, but again, it got poo-pooed. Was the whole LeBron's playing the Heat again in the finals, but this time he's playing for the Lakers.
Yeah, but even that
I thought that was a natural story. And in fact, in a normal NBA life where reporters can get on the floor and talk to players and coaches, that would have been more of a story. It would have been more of a story too about Kobe, but
that, yes, and that changes it too, is the access and the ability to tell those stories aren't the same right now. They're just not the same. It's like I mean, really, this NBA season and the playoffs and the finals were like a YMCA tournament. You know, a bunch of dudes in the gym playing games, no one around, and that's it. Yep. And that's what it was. That's what it was. It was like a YMCA
really well.
tournament.
Those games were played well. And again, it's
I know. I'm just, my point is, it's difficult to get the excitement, the energy going up against what they were going up against. That's all.
We have to do this.
That's all. The players had the energy. The players kept
Durant being back will make a big difference. He'll be playing for Brooklyn. That will make these better. We got to do this as we're Cleveland and beyond. Here's my story for the Cavs. I think that layoff really has hurt them. I think me mentioning that probably people are like, oh yeah. Out there, they do have a draft pick again. There are many things to come. The Cavs, unlike the Indians, there's hope. The Browns, there's real hope. The Cavs it just feels like a long road to go.
That's all right. We'll be here. We'll be here through them not being all that great.
I'll pay for that $120 package. And you just hope in coming weeks, in coming months, you hear developments of Darius Garland and Sexton and Porter and all those guys, because those are guys who are going to be part of this team for a while. And I got to be honest, I think even some people out there wouldn't surprise me, like, oh, well, yeah. Oh, I mean, the Cavs have been so off the radar. And they were already off the radar, but now with the pandemic, it's going to be interesting. I mean, we'll talk about it more and more as we get closer to the Cavs ever tipping off, whenever that is. Doesn't sound like it's going to be to 2021, but kudos to LeBron. Yay. Don't care about the Lakers so much, but yay. I'm happy for him. All right, so I guess to wrap up, I'm saying 13 wins. I mean, I think it's a drop in the bucket, right? obvious. So Jared's more realistic at 11. But
I don't even feel like that doesn't even feel realistic.
Jared, they're 4-1. This isn't preseason now. They've already got 4 wins in a can.
Yeah,
and they play some pretty shitty teams down the stretch. Here's my only thing again. The reason why I'm more hyped is I've seen this team grow, and I continue to hear things like we need to get better, especially from your quarterback. I am actually more in a position of I want to see Baker and see how he does. I just think it's 10-6 from Dan Monis. Thank you, Facebook. Here's the other thing I guess I would say. I just think on a team like this, it's fun to watch because I keep seeing them play together as one. And we as Clevelanders love these teams. These are the teams that get easily wrapped around. And what's great, they have true big-time heavy hitters. Myles Garrett, Chubb, Hunt, OBJ, Landry. These are stars of stars. And it makes this realistic. I'm just telling you, a long ways to go. But because you have that kind of talent, it isn't crazy to see them go to big places. So I'm going to say, long ways to go, though.
I really did not like how Baker came off the field at the end of that Colts game. I didn't like him shaking his wrist. I know that the x-rays came back negative on his ribs, but I do worry about Baker. We're going to find out really early again, in this Steelers game, I think. So I hope that he is resting up. EJ Scalota on Facebook, duct tape and aspirin. Yes. Duct tape and aspirin, feed it to him, wrap him up. Hopefully he is able to basically come out there looking like nothing happened to him last week. That is something that I actually am in the back of my mind a little bit worried about throughout this week. I want to see that he is feeling better day by day because Lord knows that with your starting quarterback, he ain't gonna fucking tell you.
That
if he's
guy's
hurting. He ain't
tough
gonna
as
fucking say. You're not gonna know. So. We got to watch that, especially I didn't like him flicking his wrist around. We got to pay attention to that. All right, I'll quit whining about it though. Andy, were those your final thoughts, or do you have more final thoughts?
But my stomach was so upset that I didn't sleep. So like
go.
My energy level's a little lower tonight. But look,
yeah, I'm strangely tired too. So don't worry about it. You
Steelers, Browns. We'll get into that. We'll start opening up the books of the Buckeyes. This will be 8 days or 9 days away on Thursday. So we'll start going down that path of what's ahead for the Bucs. And then we'll preview the national championship game between Notre Dame and Clemson. Oh, sorry, not that. But we will preview some more college football because I'm getting into it. And again, I'll talk about this more on Thursday. Bama, Georgia. If you love college football, I know it's not the Midwest. It is a huge game. Must watch. Big game. That's fine.
I'm not watching. He's Andy Billman. I'm Jared Watson.
Baby.
Evergreen Podcast. Waiting for next year.
Out.
Take care, everybody. Talk again soon.
Hi, Watson.
Kaylee. Hi, Kaylee.
My mom. Dad's birthday tomorrow. 67 years young.
Cleveland and Beyond with Andy and Jared is a part of Evergreen Podcast. You can follow them on Facebook at facebook.com/Cleveland and Beyond, on Twitter at CLE and Beyond, or shoot them an email at andyandjared@gmail.com. And don't forget to visit the website,